What's going on, everyone? Welcome back into the Dairyland Drive podcast. Collin, Mike, and Riley, and hopefully returning on video, trying a few new things, a whole completely fresh platform recording this on. So let's cross our fingers so you can see all of our handsome faces, the three of us, the crew. Going to talk a little Packers, a little free agency, and some other things here with a just jam-packed episode of content. But we're going to start with the opening drive, gentlemen, and we're going to continue our grades, position players and positions from the 2025 season for the Packers, staying on the offensive side of the ball. It's time for the pass catchers. We're going to kind of group them together, but in a sense, they're going to be different. Wide receivers and tight ends. Going to go one by one of guys that saw a majority of the snaps this year, and then we'll give a wide receiver grade and a tight end grade, if that sounds good to you. So let us get started. Like I mentioned, it is the opening drive. We're going to start on the wide receiver side of things, a group with a lot of hype, I think, really these last couple of years, just with the depth, all like the different skill sets and talents that each of these guys bring to the table. We'll get to some of the injuries that occurred before the season even started and during the season that really kept this room for being at full health the majority of the year. But a guy that was out there, I think every single game, Romeo Doubs, a guy that more than likely is not going to be back with the Packers this next year. We won't say don't say never until 100% signs with someone else. But got to start with Romeo Doubs, the guy that was available for every game. Played a lot of snaps, had some big moments, especially early on in the season. And of course, the playoff game, he was fantastic. But Mike, we'll get it started with you, Romeo Doubs. What would be your big takeaways and then your grade for him from the 2025 season?
For Romeo Doubs, I would say, he was, in terms of availability, the most consistent player they had in the pass catchers group. Um, I think was his best statistical season to date. So that was good to see. Kind of bounce back after that really up and down year in 2024. Seemed to be in a better headspace overall. Not a flashy player by any means, not like a yak getter or anything like that. Just all pretty consistent overall. Not flashy, not like had a couple big games, but he wasn't bad, but he wasn't like superstar level either. So, my grade for Romeo Doubs this year, I gave him a B minus, which I felt was pretty solid for him.
Yeah, I agree with everything Mike said. I went with a solid B just for the opportunities he got. I thought he took advantage most of the time. He was their best red zone receiver when they actually threw him the ball. Obviously, as I said all season long, I kind of wish LaFleur would have given him more chances, like deep shots. Didn't get many of those, and when he did, and I know part of it was for whatever reason, Love wasn't obviously very consistent with his deep ball with everybody this year. But when Dobbs got chances, he made plays downfield. I wish we would have saw more of that. So yeah, I don't know if it was him lacking separation or what. I don't know. There's a million things we could go into. I'm just gonna give him a solid B because of all the things Mike said, and I think I can't go any higher than that just because it was seemed you kind of knew what you're going to get. It was something short over the middle or it was a back shoulder. Like that was like his entire repertoire. But I don't know if that was on him or the play calling or whatever. So I can't go any higher than the B.
Yeah, I had him. If he didn't have the playoff performance, I think he was probably flirting for me with like a B minus, even to see. But I gave him a B as well. Just solely, I think what he did in that playoff game. I mean, what did he have? Eight catches, 124 yards, a touchdown. Like is that his best game of his Packers career potentially, or one of the best games of his Packers career? Just like what he was able to do throughout that entire game, and really give them a chance. Or should have won that game. Well, we won't go back and rehash that. But yeah, I mean, he was solid. He was good at the beginning of the year, kind of slowed down quite a bit. And obviously, like I said, that big game in the playoffs. But big thing, I think, didn't really lose his head. And I know that was some like the issues that we potentially had with him going into the season of like why we didn't think he was going to be back, just with, what was the relationship like with him and LaFleur and the Packers and like some of the shit that he's done in the past. But he seemed pretty level headed for a majority of the year. And then another big thing, the concussions. I don't know if the cap actually helped, that he wore it for a full season, but that was something that hurt him in previous years, was multiple concussions in his career so far, and seemed to, was it the guardian cap, being one of the, I guess not one of the few. More and more guys are wearing it nowadays, but it seemed to get him through the full season. And let's be honest, he's going to get paid this offseason. It's probably not going to be with the Packers, but he will get paid by some team to be a number one or number two. So B minus, B, and a B for Romeo Dubs. And let's keep it rolling. I'm just going to go in the order I have it. Christian Watson. I think this one's going to be fascinating because obviously he missed part of the season to start. But we'll start with you this time, Riley. Is that going to impact his grade and your thoughts on Christian Watson, or was he just that good and that important in the offense to kind of, I guess, raise that maybe even a full letter grade? Christian Watson, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in the A range. I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna go an A minus. Can't go an A because of the availability, but like he was the entire pass game. He came back at the perfect time. That's when we obviously lost Tucker Kraft. Everybody else was already banged up. Dayton Reed was already out. So pass game wise, when he did play, like he was everything. He was the entire threat. The offense was kind of in a lull. If it wasn't for Tucker Kraft making huge plays, like there was nothing going into when he got back. So yeah, I'm gonna go A minus. Can't if he played like whatever more than he did, it's I think A plus. I don't know how much you can do better than what he did for the opportunities he got. Um, didn't have any drops like that. I mean, I'm sure he had a couple of drops, but not like major drops that I can remember. That was a thing of his younger years. So see him to develop a little bit more of a route tree. And yeah, Jordan Love just trusts him, and that was very evident all year long when he was there. So I'm gonna go A minus.
Yeah, for me, typically what I've done these last 2 weeks is I've kind of graded on a scale a little bit with the availability, kind of knocking off a little bit of a grade there. But I'm going to make an exception to that rule here for Christian Watson. I gave him a solid A. It's clear his impact on this offense, and it was even more so, like Riley said, when Tucker Kraft went down. You can just see like the growth and the progression that he's made since his rookie year. Like he is Mr. Dependable when the ball is thrown his way. Um, downfield threat, taking slants to the house. He's just continued to get better and better, I feel like, every year. And even though he missed roughly half the season, I'm not going to count that against him just because he is so exceptional in my eyes. So to me, Christian Watson, he gets an A just for his impact on the team.
Yeah, let's see. 10 games played. If I have that correctly, you said almost half of the season he missed. Still 35 catches, over 600 yards, and 6 touchdowns. So, like, if you extend kind of that, I guess, that rate, or like what he would have maybe gotten over the stretch of a full season. I know that's a big what if, but like that's pretty clear cut wide receiver one stats that you're probably getting into that category across the leagues. When I know a lot of people say the Packers don't have a true number one receiver, but I think Watson was that guy, and I think he's shown growth, just being like an actual receiver over the course of his career, and just got to stay healthy. Like if we can just get a freaking healthier Christian Watson for 17 games in a full season. Hopefully this next year, like what does the offense look like, and what year does he have? We extended him. I think it's a smart move. I also gave him an A minus. I thought he was one of the bright spots of this offense, especially when it struggled to stretch it vertically. Like obviously Mike mentioned, he's so important to what they want to do and what they can do to kind of take the tops off the defense. So, okay, so that is Christian Watson, and I think it's probably all going to go downhill from here, but we will see. Let's go to Jaden Reed, another guy that missed a chunk of the season with an injury, a guy that you expect to make a jump this year and a big part of the offense. Unfortunately, did get that injury bug. So we'll start with you, Mike. Jaden Reed, I know tough to grade, kind of similar in the Christian Watson in the sense of not playing the full season, but how do you kind of grade and rate Jaden Reed's season?
Yep. Jaden Reed, played 7 games this year, was just kind of there on the team. It kind of seemed like 19 catches, 207 yards and a touchdown. Wasn't like super impactful, but I don't think he was like bad when he was either. He was just kind of there. I think if he was available, he probably would have had a bigger impact on the offense. At least I would hope. But I mean, he was just kind of a middling receiver to me this year when he was there. So I'm giving him a C again. Kind of knock it down the grade a little bit just because of the injury, the availability. That's more the rule for me. So for me, Jaden Reed, he gets a C on the year.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a D. I'll do a solid D, not even a D plus. D, just don't like. I know Mike's not. He didn't do anything. Like I get he was hurt, whatever, and but even when he came back, like it's not like he came back for just like one game. He like had time to like get into it, and he never got into anything. So, um, like I don't know. I don't know what he was. Don't know what his plan was. Don't put the full blame on him. He's not going to start bitching out the floor again like I could for probably all these receivers that we're going to talk about coming up. But yeah, I just don't really know if it matters that he was in the team last year. So because of that reason, I can't go any higher than the D.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough for me to. I totally get where you're coming from for the D. I gave him a C minus. I just couldn't have myself give them any of them below that. But yeah, that like C minus to me is like not good. The funny thing is like when he was inserted back in the starting lineup with this group, he was pretty much the gadget guy again. Like that was kind of like what LaFleur like used him in, like right when he jumped back in. So yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to kind of see what his role is now, like moving forward, and if he is healthy, and can stay healthy, like how does he fit with a Christian Watson and with a Matthew Golden, who clearly, we'll talk about in a little bit, where LaFleur clearly seems to want to play, Golden in the slot and Reed in the slot at the same time. So like I don't know. It's gonna be very interesting to kind of see how this group kind of plays out. I had him down for a C minus. He started the year off good because he had a pretty good game against, was it the Vikings? Was that his lone touchdown catch of the season? Was it against the Vikings or one of those two, or the Commanders, one of those first 2 games? I can't remember. Or not the Vikings, the Lions. Sorry, the Lions or the Commanders, one of those first 2 weeks. I think so. Ended up getting hurt, but yeah, just so tough. He just never really got in a rhythm, and I think that's why I gave him the C minus there too. So, all right, let's keep going. Dontavian Wicks. This one's gonna be a tough because so many expectations, I think, from all of us going into this season. I had him once again as a C minus. I think if he didn't have his one game, that one random game where afterwards we're like, who is this new wide receiver that the Packers acquired or brought up out of nowhere? I think he would have definitely flirted a D with me, but yeah, I don't know. He just injured. I think that's just going to be the common theme for a lot of these Packers receivers. He was injured throughout the entire year. He had one good game. He seemed like when he was out on the field, if he wasn't getting targets, he was at least blocking and having some sort of impact. But again, I think a guy that's going to have a lot of pressure going into next year of like, what's his role going to be like with these other 3 in that deep room. But I gave him a C minus as well. And it would have been a D if he didn't have his one kind of token, impressive, statistical game. I can't recall what team it was against. It was like 2 or
against the Lions, I thought.
There you go. So that's what I have him down as.
Yeah, I gave him a D plus. I think like we talked about before the season, expectations for him with his talent were pretty high. We talked about how he was great at creating separation and whatnot in his routes. Just not really much production this year again. And we've talked about, is that him? Is that LaFleur? Is it Love not looking his way? It could be a multitude of things. Um, but I mean, just compared to the level of expectations and talent, I think that we all see in him, like the production just wasn't there and the consistency just wasn't there. So for me, going against the expectations, I'm giving him a D plus on this one.
Yeah, I think you guys are being super nice. Like literally, like Colin said, if it wasn't for this Lions game, if it wasn't for this Lions game, he was literally a waste of a roster spot for the other 16 games of the season. Didn't play special teams, didn't do shit on offense. Literally no point for him to be on the team. So because of that one game that Colin brought up, I'm not gonna give him an F, but I'm gonna give him a fucking solid 60% D minus, literally just passing. You can go to the next fucking grade because wow, like I said, like he literally there's no point for him to be on the fucking team all year besides the Lions game. Literally no different, like no fucking purpose for him to exist on this roster. Um, don't know whose fault that was, but for what it was and what we thought he was gonna be, D minus.
Okay, there you go. These guys obviously a little tougher graders, I think, than I must be. I must be Mr. Nice Guy. I gotta get a little tougher on it. All right, let's go to the rookies. The first one, we're gonna start with Savion Williams. So I'm also very interested to see what you guys got him. Not a ton. Not a ton from Savion, maybe a little bit in the return game. Flashes on the offense. So I'm interested to hear your kind of breakdown what you gave Savion Williams.
Truthfully, I didn't even have him down on my list because I actually like legit forgot about him. Uh, so I mean, if we're gonna go that way, I could give him like an incomplete or give myself an incomplete. Um, but I mean, just for all the reasons you just listed, he was barely impactful, barely there. Uh, I won't give him an F, but I mean, he's as close to an F as you can get in the D minus range. So the lowest D minus I can give.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go a little bit higher with this, and I'm gonna go up to a D, not a D minus, because like he made a few plays. Like he had one crazy catch. I can't even remember who it was against. It was early on in the season. They used him some gadget stuff. You saw what he did. He contributed in special teams a little bit. Um, so yeah, I kind of like all these guys. Like we keep saying, like I don't know whose fault it was or whatever, but like at the same time, like I don't like it was like it's on the floor. It's like we just watched an entire season and none of us know what the fuck Savion Williams is and what he's even good at. Like I don't know. So it was like basically no point to last year. So I was actually kind of what Mike jokingly said. Like in my head, I was gonna say like it's honestly like kind of an incomplete because like we don't know what the fuck he is. What is he good at? Like I don't. They didn't try to use him really for anything like consistently. So but for what he was, like I'm just gonna give him a D. Like he was there, did a little bit more than Dontavian Wicks and made a few more plays that I can even remember. So yeah, I thought I'm gonna go a D there.
Well, I'm gonna continue, I guess, my nice grading, and my low is a C minus. So I'm continuing with the C minus for these receivers. All right, let's go to the last receiver that I have listed down, Matthew Golden, the first round receiver since Javon Walker for the Packers. Didn't probably live up to expectations. Even he probably even himself would say that. And I saw some jokes about. I don't know if you guys saw the player report cards. And like LaFleur like got what? Did he get like a B minus or something like that? Or
Mhm.
someone said is Matthew Golden like the one that gave him an F to bring down to bring down his grade, and everyone else was a little higher on him. Would be surprised because if I was Matthew Golden, I would be completely pissed off too with his usage. I know, Mike,
Yeah.
you would certainly agree with that. I'll get started just with like these last three. Golden, I thought, was a little bit better and a little bit more impactful. Obviously, he did battle some injuries, but when he was given the opportunity, I think he took it. So I gave him a solid C, is what I had for Matthew Golden for his rookie season, and hopefully it only goes up from here. But Mike, I know you were frustrated with his usage. How do you grade Matthew Golden?
Yeah, definitely frustrated with the usage. Missed a few games as well. You did mention that he took advantage of his opportunities when he did get them. So that was good to see. But overall, like, and this is probably unreal expectations for me. Like, I think before the season, I had him predicted for like 1,000 yards, and that was probably completely unrealistic for me. I should have known better. Um, but I mean, he wasn't like a top flight guy. He showed flashes here and there. So I'm in the same boat as you. I gave him a solid C as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a D plus, just a little bit higher up than Savion. Again, like not probably not his fault, but definitely underperformed. Like we all said, I don't have to repeat what you guys already said, but kind of the same thing as like Dontavian Wicks in my head. Like besides like 3 or 4 games, like the other 13 or whatever, he was hurt half the time, and like the other half the time, it's like why the fuck is he on the roster right now if this is all we're doing? So, um, probably not his fault, but for what it was, I can't put him in the C range because literally probably shouldn't have been dressed fucking for half the games he was. So for me, that just takes it way down in the D range. So I'll go D plus.
All right. Well, that is our 6 receivers. So crew as a whole, what would you give the wide receiver room overall from the 2025 season? Mike.
I'd give them a C overall. Pretty mid overall.
Riley.
Just slightly below that because of all my D's. I'll go C minus with Christian Watson, obviously pulling that thing up.
I think this is our first time we're disagreeing. We've had the same overall grades for quarterbacks and running backs so far. We got 2 separate ones here. I did a C as well, just looking at my A minus for Watson, B for Dubs, and then pretty much all C minuses and the C for Golden. So that's probably the middle ground. I think that's very generous as well. And I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on this group to improve. And you could easily say if they stay healthy, could that be just like an easy improvement? Like, yeah, probably. But yeah, we will see. If this is the group without Romeo Dubs moving forward next year, if there is any addition as a veteran or another draft pick or a street free agent to add to this group going into 2026. But it is now time to stick with the pass catchers, but go to tight ends. And I have 4 of them down. So we'll do a 4 quick grades for 4 individuals. I'm assuming one of them is probably going to get the majority of the talk, and the other 3 very quick, be very interesting grades. So let's start with the guy that I think was on pace to have potentially an all-pro season, one of the better tight end seasons from a Packers tight end in a long time. Obviously, though, with the major knee injury out for the season, of course, we're talking about our guy, Tucker Kraft. Very interested to hear what you guys thought of when he was on the field and his production before he got hurt. How do you kind of weigh that into your grade? We'll start with you, Mike. What was your overall grade with Tucker Kraft from the 2020 Packers? Trucker Kraft. There you
Go in, truck and full. I gave him kind of the Christian Watson treatment, even though he missed a significant chunk of the season. His impact was second to none among that group, kind of like Christian Watson's was. So I'm going to give him a little bit of forgiveness on that. You mentioned he was on pace for potentially an all-pro season. I mean, he was kind of their passing game before Christian Watson came back, right? And then thankfully Christian Watson's return was kind of really good timing and kind of saved them passing game wise. So I mean, for me, overall, he's become a really good blocker in addition to his continuous improvement in the passing game. So for me, Tucker Kraft gets an A, even though he missed again about half the season.
Riley.
Yeah, take everything Mike just said, take everything I said about Christian Watson before, just flip it. I'm gonna keep the same grade, A minus. He was the entire offense, and then they kind of switched halfway through the season. So blocking, pass catching, just any way to get the ball in his hands. Obviously, he was on the rise. Everybody in the league, I mean, everybody in the league, last 2 weeks before he got hurt, like he was starting to be talked about in all the ESPN, Fox, blah blah blah. Like people were like, "Holy shit!" Like they knew who he was, but like they're like, "Is this the top tight end in the NFL?" So yeah, that's how hot he was. So I hopefully he bounces back after off this injury, comes back next year, and him and Watson can play together, and we'll see what the offense becomes even more. But yeah, because of his injury, can't go any higher than A minus.
I did an A minus as well. I think if he never got hurt, like he's flirting with A plus, just like with on the pace that he was going towards. Like his yak, and just like anything after contact is just crazy. And what he was able to do. And I have a feeling him and Micah Parsons are gonna be kind of cut from the same cloth. Like I think they're just going to be on a vengeance and hell, like in this like recovery and rehab phase to get back on the field and then just be absolute monsters when they do get back. And yeah, it's kind of a common theme so far for pass catchers of well, these guys were injured. What if they were healthy? Like it's just crazy to think like how many guys missed how many games in terms of like the skill position wise for wide receivers and tight ends and what the Packers were still able to do and make the playoffs. So like, yeah, like my God, can we stay healthy for one full season with all of these guys in this full arsenal, especially Tucker Kraft? Like I think he's a top 5 tight end in the league. I don't when he's healthy, I don't think there's any debate about it, just like overall what he was able to do. So I had him down as an A minus as well. But all right, we're going to Riley for this one. His guy, Luke Musgrave. Let's not forget drafted in the same draft as Tucker Kraft, and was
Higher.
supposedly higher, and then it's supposed to be a huge part of this offense, but didn't really do much.
I'll go into the C range with Musgrave. I think, especially once Tucker Kraft got hurt, he had to play. I thought he made a few plays, like he didn't fall every fucking time he caught the ball. Actually saw him block a little bit, not great. So yeah, I can't go any higher than C minus. I'm giving him a C minus. It's because of how hard I've been on him, and like he wasn't complete dog shit when he had to play. He was fucking F until Tucker Kraft got hurt. Tucker Kraft gets hurt, he has to play. So I'll give him a C minus just because he was the only like any any sort of a tight end on the entire fucking team the rest of the year. So just for that reason, kind of can't completely dock him. So yeah, C minus.
Mike,
This is shocking to me a little bit too, because I'm gonna be grading him way harder. I thought he was bad. I don't need to see Luke Musgrave on. I don't need to see Luke Musgrave on in a Green Bay Packer uniform ever again. I gave him a D minus, and the only reason I didn't give him an F is because he played every game this year. First 2 years he was hurt and missed significant time. He actually played every game this year, so that's the only reason I didn't give him an F. So, Luke Musgrave, I don't care. He's bad. D minus. I never need to see him in a Packer uniform again. Unfortunately, we will, but
yeah, what a swing and miss it seems to be with that draft pick. Like obviously they hit on one of the two guys, but yeah, it's just kind of so sad of what they envisioned. I mean, just never really has fully come true. And I just don't think they've used him like the right way. And I don't know, like, is there a way to use like Luke Musgraves? Probably, but yeah, I don't think he's ever had the opportunity, and I just don't know if he's ever going to be a tight end one, just like with his body and like what he's kind of limited to. Cause like he's kind of like a Kyle Pitts-esque, like kind of like that same mold and same tree, but just a little less athletic and not as good ball skills, right? Yeah, I gave him a C minus as well, but like as you know, that's like my low kind of criteria so far for grading. So all right, I'm gonna do these two together because I don't know if they get the same grade. I put them as the same grade, so I'll just if you guys want to talk about them separately, you can. But of course, Fitzpatrick and Wiley, I gave them both C minuses just because like they were just bodies on the field to me. Like poor like Josh Wiley got absolutely killed by by Ufungo from the that's like literally my only like memory from him is just getting absolutely destroyed. And then yeah, I mean Fitzpatrick was fine as well. Like I don't know like on a contender if either of these two are on like the actual roster or the 53 on like a true Super Bowl contending team. So I had them both as a C minus. I don't think there's much to add to it, but I'll let you guys, if you want to group them individually or separately, go ahead.
Yeah, these were also two that I didn't even bother to give grades to just because they were just kind of bodies taking up space, it felt like. So, I mean, you kind of said everything there. D plus for me if I'm giving them a legit grade.
Yeah, they're both Fs for me. Bad in the pass game, bad blockers. I talked about. I talked about how I'd rather just give me a fullback all year, put a fucking 6 lineman in or sack that, which I did say. That's how bad it got. They started putting Kennard in because those two fucking sucked. Also, everybody forgets because all the heat just went to Pasaccia. These are the two dipshits that were at wing on PATs and field goals that kept getting fucking blocked before they put linemen in. They couldn't fucking do that right. So special teams, pass game, blocking, run game, they fucking suck. Don't know why they exist. I'm going F because, like, unlike Dontavian Wicks, like, they took up a roster spot and sucked. So they're worse than not even fucking being important because they actually lost games for them, in my opinion. So yeah, F.
All right. Our positional grade as a whole for tight ends, I'll get it started. I had it as a generous C. Just weighing out the Tucker Craft A minus and all my other guys with the C minus. Yeah, C, same as my wide receiver grade. If you want the Packers to improve 2026 season, like seems like here, these guys staying healthy and having a bigger impact, both of these groups. But I had my tight ends as a C.
Yeah, I'm giving them a C minus just because Tucker Craft's A is doing so much heavy lifting there.
Yep. Had an A coming in the midterm. Bombed the fucking midterm. Got an F the rest of the fucking semester. So F.
Okay. There you go. And then before we move on to 3 and out, we'll start with wide receivers really quick because I skipped this part. Do you add to this group, knowing that you're probably losing Romeo Doubs? Do you add to this group through free agency, through the draft, or is this pretty much the group that you're going to roll into the 2026 season with, starting with receivers?
So you're expecting to have 5 for sure? Am I counting that right?
5 for sure, yes.
I don't even know who we have on the practice squad right now. I mean, yeah, probably in some sort of fashion, whether it's some low pay free agent or undrafted free agent.
So you're just adding depth, like that's about like all
Yeah,
into it?
it's a depth
Okay.
piece, I
Okay.
think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean they'll definitely add depth or just to get through practice, blah blah blah. But like for actually to be a 6 receiver, I would say the only way I'd be okay with them adding and him actually sticking on the roster if it was somebody where his sole fucking purpose was to be the returner, like McCole Hardman was supposed to be and should have been, but they fucked that up. So unless it's somebody like that and they're actually gonna fucking do that, like then no, there's no point because we just got done talking about how why the fuck were Dontavian Wicks and Acton Golden even on the team last year? Like they had plenty last year and then you fucking use them. So no, if they're just receiver wise, no, don't add anybody. If there's gonna be a 6 receiver on the roster, he better fucking be your punt and kick returner.
All right, then tight end. I know we're gonna probably add to this group, but like, what extent do you add to this group? Is this like going to be a complete makeover besides Tucker Craft? Is it just Tucker Craft and everyone else, or like what do you kind of vision the work that this tight end group needs going into this off season?
Who knows, dude? Is Luke Musgrave guaranteed a spot next year after 53-man cut down?
I don't think so. I don't think he's guaranteed whatsoever, but
I mean,
I don't
know.
understand what the plan of tight end's been this whole time.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say because, yeah, I don't know what the plan is. You need depth for sure.
Riley, is this the time?
Especially because you don't know if Tucker Craft's even going to start the season.
Right. Riley, is this the time where they actually bring in a big body that can just actually rely on blocking and sole job of blocking, or no? We still going to get a bunch of the same bodied guys?
I would assume just because that's what they do, they'll be the same body guy. But you would think based on watching them and like self scouting, you'd be like, maybe we should just like bring in a fullback that's like you said, the Wiley and Hufanga. Like I get Hufanga is not a fucking like he's not like a normal strong safety. I get that, but at the same time, he's still a fucking safety. He's a defensive back. Like he can't be blowing up the guy that's your fullback. Like you can't like just bring in a fullback or yeah, bring in a big body. They probably won't. I don't know. I would assume. I don't. You never know with the Packers. A part of me thinks like they almost have to draft a tight end at some point in time, just because like whether they keep Musgrave or not, his contract's up after this next year because it's the 3-year deal because he wasn't a first round pick, so it's not like a player option. Blah blah blah. And they're gonna obviously want to spend. They're gonna have to pay Tucker Kraft. So like all the money in that room is going to go to there. So you would assume as long as Tucker Kraft's there, they're going to just like keep recycling draft picks on tight ends just because they want to keep it as cheap as possible. Like they can't have like true 2 tight ends on like second deals. You know what I mean? So it'll be all practice squad off the street guys or rookies. So because of the fact that like I just said, I think they're going to pay Tucker Kraft. I would assume they'll draft somebody just to keep it as cheap as possible.
All right, there you go. That is our positional grades and review from the 2025 season for pass catchers, wide receivers, and tight ends. Next week, we will wrap up on the offense with the offensive line before we move over to the defense. But with that being said, it is now time for 3 and out, and we even have a bonus 4th down in this week's topics. See how fast we get through this. Don't know some of these, how much of the talking or breakdown it's going to be. But first down, we, of course, have to start with I think the last coordinator has officially been filled of all the NFL teams for this beginning of this offseason. Of course, that is the special teams coach or special teams coordinator. Rick Bisaccia is gone. The Packers hire Cam Accord, like Mike mentioned before you show. Accord, I even fucked it up already after he told me. But Cam Accord is the new special teams coordinator for the Packers. He has some experience being a special teams coordinator with the Patriots, I believe, under Bill Belichick, and his group, I think, was ranked first one of those years. So he has coordinated a top-ranked special teams team and also some middle of the pack. He was with the Giants these last couple of years, but I guess the question is, we don't have to really break it down. Are you still feeling good and optimistic about how everything played out with Bisaccia leaving, getting a fresh face in there for special teams and someone that has experience? Or are we still in the same boat where it does not matter who is in charge of special teams? They are going to be an issue. Where we sit after this hire was made?
To me, it doesn't matter until I see otherwise. They've recycled through how many different special teams coordinators for the last like 10 years or more, and it's been most of the same. I mean, I think like the coverage units have been better the last couple of years, which there is something to say about that, but I mean that doesn't get a lot of attention. It's the return game that gets a lot of the attention, and that's where the suckiness has it's more visible. So I mean, for that, I think that's what most people are going to be looking for. So until we see improvement there, to me, it doesn't matter until I see otherwise.
Yeah, I feel worse about it, and it has nothing to do with new coordinator. I agree with everything Mike just said. Packers-wise, a new coordinator, don't give a fuck until I actually see what happens in the field. I feel bad because, like, Bisaccia just went and took the Clemson job. Like, what the fuck? It's, like, how fucked up is the Packers? Like, what is happening? That's a fucking huge red flag. Clemson's a shit show. Like, no way you want to just walk into Clemson right now, for one. Two, we look at Halfley just left. He literally came from college because college is such a shit show right now. Like, so what is actually going on? That just like to me, that screams like he's not seeing eye to eye with whatever vision or like he's like, yeah, get me the fuck out of this situation. I'm gonna go deal with Dabo's fucking crazy old school ass, and we're gonna suck at Clemson and just get bits at the entire time. Like that wasn't the hot seat. Like if Clemson starts out like fucking 2-2, Dabo's gonna get fired, and that's gonna be a bigger shit show, and that's what he just went to. So what the fuck's going on? Like that can freak me out so much. The report card came out about LaFleur, I don't know. To me, I think it's just a huge red flag about what's going on in the building right now. And I'm gonna I hate LaFleur, and you guys know that. So I don't know. I would assume it's directly related to him and LaFleur not seeing eye to eye and how much of a shit show that season was. And he eventually just said, "Fuck this, I'm out," and went to a bigger shit show. But directly correlates back to how shitty LaFleur has been as of late.
Yeah, and I think, Mike, you made a good point of it seemed like Packers and special teams, like maybe what they were stronger at, if that's even the right word, or where they maybe improved at, like, yeah, was the coverage teams, or like they had one of the better punters in the league. But no one pays attention to that. Like, no one cares about the coverage teams or like the punting side of things. People care about making field goals and people care about returns. And like, where did the Packers struggle the most like this year in key moments? No return game, and McManus like missing field goals. So of course that's going to be, I think, spotlighted for any special teams coach. Like if you don't have any return game and your kicker struggles, like doesn't matter. And I think that kind of just fully kind of entails like what the Packers special teams has been like these last few years. So it'll be interesting to see what emphasis is put on the return game, I think, this upcoming year. And then, yeah, like competition with McManus. And then I don't know if you guys saw, there was a little report that came out that, what is it, legal tampering can begin. And apparently the Packers have reached out to Brandon Aubrey's people since he has not officially inked a deal with the Cowboys. If that's just all smoke, or if that's like actually real, like the dude's going to get paid for a kicker, I would imagine. So it would just be laughable if that's where the Packers would even think about spending their money. But um, we all know if Brandon Aubrey would come to Green Bay, like he would suck and probably have his career worst year, right? Like that would be inevitable and happen. Like even the best kicker in the league.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You think
don't
he'd
agree with you there.
continue to be automatic? Well, I guess we'll see. We'll see if we can even have to have that conversation. But hey, special teams coordinator is hired. We'll see if anything changes, or if it's a lot of the same. But I do think it has to do with some personnel. And we'll get to that here in second down or third down, but we'll get to one of the key guys in special teams, at least in a lot of the units, is back. But let's go to second down. The NFL Rookie Scouting Combine was this past week in Indianapolis. Obviously, the Packers do not have a first-round pick, but they do still have draft picks and some guys that they were able to take a look at. So just real simple, can be short, can be long, can be in-depth. Any big takeaways, any big surprises from the Scouting Combine? Did anyone stand out to you? Did anyone hurt themselves? Any guys that you're like, I want the Packers to freaking draft them? Anything at all from the Scouting Combine last week in Indy?
Nothing like really Packer related because, like I've told you guys offline, I don't really pay attention to the scouting combine. I know there is quite a bit of chatter about one of the standout DNs from Miami, Ruben Bain, that his arms were like historically short. Um, so it'll be interesting to see how that affects his draft stock, if at all. Um, kind of one of the big things that was talked about, Will Campbell, the rookie left tackle from New England this year, was that he had really short arms for an offensive lineman. And you could see kind of how that probably came to fruition a little bit in his struggles in the Super Bowl. It was really visible there. I know he talked that he was injured, but who knows? I mean, I don't know how much like arm length makes a difference. Like, I think I also saw that his arms were only like 5/8 of an inch shorter than Micah Parsons. So I mean, is that a significant difference to a player like Bain? Who knows? It'll just be fascinating to see how much NFL scouts glom onto that and if it hurts or helps them at all.
Yeah, I'm one of those nerds that does watch this. So like overall, like this was one of the best like actual like there was nobody that really hurt themselves like testing wise. Nobody really hurt themselves. I think the only one that just came across as like what the fuck's wrong with this guy was Mekhi Lemon. If any of you guys saw the clips of him with how he was talking, like just the receiver at a USC. Just I don't know if he was putting a show. It's fucking he's like I don't know if he's possessed or what the fuck was going on. Something. But testing wise, everybody was great. Obviously, for me and Collin's neck of the woods where we grew up, or where I'm still at, the small town guy, Jennings Dunker, offensive lineman, big red mullet. So small town kid, obviously. His high school is the high school that's rivals with where we're from. So that's kind of cool being from a small area like we are. But other than that, nothing crazy. Everybody seemed to be running faster, jumping higher this year. So a bunch of freaks joining the league.
All right, let's keep it rolling. Let's go to third down. The NFL offseason is officially underway. So out of all the moves that have happened so far, if it's been players released, we had a big trade today. We had a big retirement a couple days ago. The Packers re-signed a special teams player and Chris Brooks and their third running back. Out of all the moves or all the news that has happened so far to start free agency or the offseason, what has stood out to you the most or what has gotten your attention the most out of all of this so far early on?
Good question, because I haven't paid that close of attention to that either. McDuffie getting traded from the Chiefs was kind of a surprise to me, I suppose, today. I don't remember exactly what the haul was for him, but it seemed like significant return that Kansas City got back for him. Was there a first round pick included in that?
29, yeah, late.
I don't remember. Yeah. I don't know. Is Kansas City kind of like rebuilding here? It's kind of interesting to see what's going on in Kansas City right now.
Riley.
Yeah, that's where I would go too because I don't like the Rams. Obviously, they still have a first round pick from the Falcons last year for that trade, so like not really losing anything. They're basically gaining an All Pro corner for 3 picks, and like they're not really losing any picks this year because, like I just said, they still have a first round. Um, so they're going all in. That obviously is not great being in the NFC with the Packers. And kind of like what Mike said, like, what the fuck are the Chiefs doing? Like, Hannah and Lucas probably fucking love this shit, and you're neck of the woods, Colin, because I don't know what's like. Yeah, the Chiefs they're like I don't know. I don't. Their offensive line's still bad. They just said they're not going to re-sign Juwan Taylor. It's like their offensive line was already bad. They're getting fucking worse. Um, don't have either tackle spot shirt up. Uh, just gave away probably their best defensive player because the rest of their defense is all getting fucking older. Travis Kelce probably coming back, also getting older. So I don't know how you can say you're rebuilding, but you're keeping on to like I don't know what the Chiefs are doing. But yeah, that's the big story to me is that the Rams kind of are going to go all in for probably one more year with Stafford. So that's the biggest story so far in my opinion.
Couple moves I also want to add as well that I think is going to be interesting. The Cardinals, basically, what we all had assumed, are told Kyler Murray that he's going to be released when the new league year begins. So where does he end up? And then obviously the Packers re-signing Chris Brooks to a 2-year deal. So they're bringing him back in the fold for the running back room and special teams. But how about Dahlman retiring for the Bears, like 27 years old, just signed a 3-year deal. Like, I think he was probably one of the top 10 centers in the league this last year, just in terms of PFF grade and what he did in the run game and pass blocking game. So now does that kind of hurt the Packers? The Bears are going to be also looking to kind of fill their interior offensive line as well. They already supposedly are going to be meeting with Tyler Biadasz out of Wisconsin. So we'll be interesting to see what the Bears do to add to their offensive line after they did a full kind of makeover this past offseason. But a lot more to come, I think, for free agency in the offseason in general. I think there's going to be a lot of news to talk about here in the coming weeks. But all right, like I mentioned before, 3 and out, we have a bonus 4th down, and we're going to completely shift gears and go to college basketball. It is quickly approaching the, in my opinion, most exciting time of, I guess, early spring in a lot of fans, March Madness with conference tournaments approaching and obviously the NCAA tournament approaching. And one of the hottest topics right now across college basketball is that of Miami, Ohio. I know Mike several episodes back asked if they were legit. Well, they just keep winning. They are now 30-0. They're one game away for being, I think, one of the first or only ever teams to finish the regular season undefeated and win 30 plus games. So it begs the question now, if you've looked at their strength of schedule, the opponents that they've played, not the strongest, but there's also the argument of they've played who's on their schedule and they've beaten on their schedule. However, let's say Miami, Ohio finishes the regular season undefeated, 31-0, but loses at some point in the conference tournament. And at some point, whatever their final record is only one loss. Do you believe Miami, Ohio should still be an at-large bid and a lock to get into the NCAA tournament? And that would mean that the MAC would have 2 teams in the NCAA tournament if they don't win the conference tournament. Thoughts? Should Miami, Ohio at this point be an at-large bid and a lock to be in the field of 68?
Without knowing the rest of the landscape of college basketball, um, I'm gonna say yes, with the caveat that if there are better teams with, I don't know, that have with better competition. I mean, I heard today that their non-conference strength of schedule is like third to last in all of D1, so that's like 365 teams. Um, I'm gonna say they need to make their conference championship game to secure a place in the tournament. Anything less than that, man, they're gonna be out, or probably should be out. I don't know. It's tough because like you've won every single game up to this point, no matter like who you played. Like you still played them, you still beat everyone that you played. Like you said, like you can only play who's on your schedule. The players didn't make the schedule. Like they're just out there playing. So, um, I don't know, in the whole landscape of college basketball, though, there's probably 68 better teams that have played better schedules than them. So, yeah, I'm just gonna say that they need to at least make their conference championship in order to secure a spot.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no. They literally no. It's no, that they don't win their tournament. They do not deserve to be in. Like we've said, they've not played anybody. It is on them for their not having a fucking decent schedule. Literally, AD, head coach, like you guys didn't try. You didn't put your players in a good position by actually building a resume. So no, like literally, your non-conference schedule consists of like your best wins, like Air Force, and they're fucking like 3-27 right now. So no, they don't. Not. I don't care. Literally, don't care.
Yeah, if this does happen and like they are sitting there on selection Sunday, like wondering if they're going to get it, are they probably better than a lot of the other like teams that would get automatic bursts like from winning their conference tournament? Yeah, probably. I would say there's probably a good chunk, maybe all of them, that like the non-power 5 schools, but yeah, like just like their net, like I think that I don't even know what their net is, and that's such a big part of like the NCAA tournament committee, like picking like their net's not very strong. You talked about their strength of schedule. How many of these like kind of like schools like this do schedule at least 1 or 2 games against like top 25 teams? Like I feel like a lot of them do. Like a lot of them get the crap beat out of them earlier in the season. but at least they kind of have that they played a team like that. They measured a team like that. Like they didn't play anyone. Like 3 of their wins are against non-divisional one opponents, just like crazy to me. So, I don't know. I'm in the same boat. I think they have to win. Because like Akron's pretty good too. Like their only loss, they're like I think their only loss in the conference this year is to Miami, and Miami, Ohio has not exactly been blowing teams away. Like they've had a couple close calls as well. And I hope that that's the conference championship is John Gross and Akron versus Miami, Ohio, because I think that'll be a fascinating game. And see if it actually starts this conversation if they should or shouldn't be in. But okay, well, March Madness quickly approaching. I'm pumped. I'm already working ahead in work schedule to make sure that I have nothing to do for that Thursday and Friday of the first round of the NCAA tournament, and even next week for the Big Ten, which we'll talk about next week's episode. But all right, it is time for the final drive, and before we get there, we are going to go to our comments because it kind of plays into our final drive from last episode, and that is Mr. Max commented for the first time in a few episodes, Max. So good to hear from you. Max is actually up in Green Bay now as a traveling nurse up here for the next few months. Took a contract here, so good to have Max back in the Green Bay area. He was kind of talking about our making the Packers Super Bowl contenders in 3 moves and a little bit of the NHL stuff from last episode. He says, with the recent news of him being cut, I'd love for the Packers to target center Tyler Biadasz, the ex-Badger. I had Jordan Morgan for the internal development, and as far as draft, it would have to be defensive tackle, stop the run, and help the guys behind you. So that was Max's 3 moves that he would make. Tyler Biadasz, Jordan Morgan improving, and then drafting a defensive tackle. And then also says the gold medal hockey game was spectacular. Our house erupted when Jack scored. Even a first name basis. Love it. It makes me want to be an NHL fan. Help me pick a team to follow. Maybe not the Blackhawks, as I don't want to be just a follower. Maybe the Blues or Hurricanes. Well, if it's any other team than the Blackhawks, fuck you. But maybe that's a good thing to have a little bit of a rivalry, as long as it's not the Wild, because then I'd really have to hate you. So I would say if you're not going to pick the Blackhawks, any team besides the Wild, Max, I would recommend. But if you want to be mediocre, I guess you can be a Wild fan, even though they're pretty fun to watch this year. I hate to say.
If I weren't a Blackhawks fan, I would be an Avalanche fan, personally. I love watching Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar play. I could watch them play hockey all day. They're so good.
Yeah, that's tough to argue. Blues, Hurricanes. I mean, I don't know. Maybe go for a younger team, a younger up-and-coming team. That's what we've been dealing with the Blackhawks for since 2015, not a single playoff win, and they have sucked. They've been really bad, and the rebuild has been painful. So I would not say like being a Blackhawks fan is just like, oh, you're a Blackhawks fan. It's been tough sledding here for the last decade. So hopefully we get out of it. We might not ever get out of it, but hopefully we'll get out of the rebuild here soon. But thank you, Max, for commenting on the.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because you guys have kind of talked about this too, and I just don't get it. Like, why do the Packers need a defensive tackle? Like, we all realized, like, before Micah Parsons got hurt, they ranked like 6th in rush defense, right? Like, it all went downhill after he got hurt. So, like, why the fuck all of a sudden, like, even with Devontae Wyatt out, we still ranked we're in the top 10 in rush defense until Micah Parsons died. So I just don't get where this narrative, like, where did this come from? I don't disagree. I think we've talked about it all year where probably at least one bigger guy would help. But, like, I just don't get where this narrative came out of nowhere at the end of the year where our rush defense sucked. It's literally the best it's been in like fucking 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting question.
Probably the Ravens game, and I don't know. Did they struggle the last 2 games stuffing the run? I don't remember.
I
forget.
I mean, the easy answer is like the improvement should be like the young guys on the roster, right? Like giving them more opportunities actually, and not having them be healthy scratches. Like I know they're undrafted free agents, but you kept them on your roster for a reason and maybe give them some chances. Like to me, I don't think they need like a stud by any means. I think like maybe a depth piece, like you mentioned, like a big body there to play like in the A gap and help you on first and second down. But yeah, I don't think they need to go like draft a defensive tackle in the first round by any means. But I wouldn't mind signing like a veteran dude if possible, and you know, be like a role specific guy. But who knows? It's also like can guys stay healthy? And that seems to be the Packers issue for a lot of position groups and what their depth like truly looks like. So yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to hear, Max, if you're drafting a defensive tackle in the first round or just
We
like
don't
any
have first
round in
round.
general, or sorry, in the second round or any round in general, I guess probably would help clear that up as well. Of like where are you picking a defensive tackle? So yeah, interesting point. But yeah, I think there's talent in the room. Just yeah, I think that they can stay healthy, and especially Devontae Wyatt is a huge piece. So all right, there we go. Well, we're going to continue building a Super Bowl contender in 3 moves. We're going to do the rest of the NFC North for final drive this week. So what we did, each of us picked a team. Mike is doing the Bears, Riley is doing the Lions, and I am doing the Vikings. And we're going to do the same exact thing as we did last week with the rest of the NFC North and make them Super Bowl contenders with 3 moves. So let's start with you, Mike. The free agency. You can add 1 free agent to the Bears roster to make them Super Bowl contenders. So what are you giving Ben Johnson in free agency to help his team?
I'm giving him Trey Hendrickson, and I'm doing this not from a Packer fan perspective. I'm doing this from if I were the Bears, just to clear that up. Uh, I mean, their defense was putrid, other than living on interceptions last year for the most part. Their guys up front were okay, not great. If they can add a supremely talented pass rusher, I feel like with Trey Hendrickson, that would help them big time on the defensive side. So that's the move I'm making in free agency.
Riley, we're going to go to the Lions. Who are you adding?
Oh yeah, so they had their center. It's kind of a shit show at center in the NFC North right now. They had their center Graham Glasgow. He's gone. So they need a center as well. And I think, and you're going to see a trend with how I talk about the Lions. I think, and I mean, the 2 games we watched, like the Packers beat the shit out of the Lions up front, and that was kind of the Lions thing with Dan Campbell. So I think they need to address center, get a veteran because they're obviously in win now mode. With Jared Goff getting older. So I'm gonna say center. I don't have a specific one. You know, those 3 or 4. They're in the same situation Packers wise. They're a little over the cap right now. Obviously, could easily make some moves to get under, but they're not like Linderbaum, like Reigns. They're not gonna break the bank. They have too many other things. So Cade Mays was out there. He was the Panthers center. Cushenberry is out there. He was the Titans center. Biotis, maybe. I think he's obviously already visiting the Bears, supposedly. A couple other teams interested. I don't know if they can afford him. Connor McGovern, Bills center. So there's 4 or 5 centers out there that started last year, and other teams that they obviously need to go pluck one of them. But they need to definitely go center, in my opinion.
All right, we're going to wrap it up with the Vikings. I am just done with JJ McCarthy, at least if this team's going to be a Super Bowl contending team. Like, let's not forget they are 1 year away from being what, a 14-win team and flirting with being the #1 seed. So I don't think they're like too far off, but like the holes they do have to fill are pretty big. Like you need a quarterback that is going to get your playmakers the ball. So I'm going to take a swing, and I know a lot of people are probably going to call for Kirk Cousins just with his familiarity with Kevin O'Connell, and does he have a few good years left in him? But nope, I'm going to take an even bigger swing, and I'm going to go with Kyler Murray. I just think Kyler Murray with Kevin O'Connell. He is a obviously quarterback friendly coach, a quarterback friendly offense. I think it would be a great fit. And I think if this realistically would happen, he would probably win out the starting job with JJ McCarthy and give JJ McCarthy maybe a year or two. Like, I think it would only be maybe a 1-year deal, or maybe a 2-year deal at max. But you got to let JJ McCarthy kind of, I know there's like the old thing of like young guys have to play to improve and they have to get snaps to know, what they need to like work on and improve on. I think JJ McCarthy just needs to kind of like sit and watch a little bit, and have like a veteran guy kind of in front of him, like a Kyler Murray. And let's be honest, I think Kevin O'Connell's like pretty much almost done with McCarthy at this point, just because I don't trust him at winning meaningful games and like winning a Super Bowl. And I think Kyler Murray would he make them a true Super Bowl contender? I don't know. Would he make this Vikings offense like interesting? Yes. And that might be all you need in the NFC, is just to be interesting and kind of good enough to make it into the playoffs and kind of see what happens. So that would be my move. Bring in Kyler Murray on a 1-year deal, maybe a 2-year deal, and really elevate this offense at that position. So, all right, let's go to your one move in the draft that you're going to make. We'll start with you this time, Riley. So the Lions, what are they going to do with their big move in the draft?
Yeah, like I said, you're going to follow the trend here. So I'm going to stay in the trenches here again, because I think that's where they lack this year. You can honestly go either side of the ball. You could get another edge rusher, opposite Hutchinson over there. So that's like and Dan Campbell in the Lions, they don't follow trends. They kind of like say who's a dog basically in their opinion, their eyes, and that's what they do. So maybe like a Mesidor, the second, not Bane, not short arms Bane, like Mike brought up earlier. Mesidor, the other defensive end out of Miami, obviously has a swagger. He's used to being like the second pass rusher. So maybe he's there. But I would tend to go in the offensive line. Decker did say their left tackle. He was considering retirement. He recently said he has decided to come back for at least one more season, but he was hurt over half the season last year. So they obviously need to do something there to address left tackle for the future. I'm going to go with Caden Proctor. Would be a guy I lean towards the big left tackle out of Alabama. Caught a touchdown pass this year. You've seen him do stuff with Penei Sewell. So whether he steps in right away at left tackle or they get back to using 6 offensive linemen. They were kind of one of the teams that started this. They kind of got away from it last year. But yeah, maybe get him on the field somehow and just get another left tackle for the future. So I'm going to stick on the offensive line like I did for free agency and say they're going to draft an offensive lineman, the best available there at 17.
Mike, go ahead. What are the Bears doing in the draft?
All right, so I've got the Bears going either left tackle or center here. Their left tackle, Ozzie Trapilo, he suffered a ruptured patella tendon in the playoffs this year. So obviously that means he's going to miss at least most, if not all, of this upcoming season. And from what I've been told, patella tendon injuries are very hard to recover from long term. So I don't know, like, if he was like a superstar left tackle, but I think he was respectable. And also, I mean, their center, Drew Dahlman, who they just signed last offseason, up and retired a couple days ago. So they've got 2 big holes to fill on the offensive line that they had just massively overhauled last offseason. So for me, I'm looking for 1, if not 2, long-term replacements at each position.
All right. And then the Vikings for the draft. What I would love for them to do is probably trade up and get one of those pass rushers, but I don't see that happening. So I'm going to give Brian Flores some depth in the defensive back room. Harrison Smith, is he going to retire or is he coming back for another year? I don't know. So do you maybe take the best safety available to kind of find his replacement? Or if, one of those top corners is still sitting there in the back half of the teens, maybe trying to take one of them and find a true cornerback one for not only this next year, but for like the future as well. So my one draft move, I would say be take the best available defensive back if it is on the back end of the safety, but I think the best possible one would be finding a corner that could start day one, and maybe not be cornerback one, but be a starter corner, because they need some help to add to that room, I think. So, all right, that's the draft. We're going to go to internal improvements. So players that are going to be on the roster. We just lost Riley. See if we can add him back for that. If not, we might wrap the show up without him, without hearing about the Lions. But I will get started. So my internal improvement for the Vikings is if edge rusher Dallas Turner takes another step. I thought he took a big step from year one to year two, had 8 sacks, I think, and a lot of pressures. But if he becomes elite, he gets into double-digit sack territory in 2026 and becomes a top 10, top 15 pass rusher for the Vikings with Brian Flores. That defense is going to be very, very, very frustrating to play against. If they're able to get pressure against you just with not blitzing and all the blitzing that he does do, watch out, because I think this defense could be very, very frustrating to play against and win them a lot of games. So that is my internal improvement. If Dallas Turner becomes an elite edge rusher in the league, like a top 10, top 15 edge rusher, gets to double-digit sacks, watch out for this Vikings defense, because I think they could be trouble.
Yeah, for me with the Bears, this one was easy. It was Caleb Williams. Certainly showed some improvement, I feel like, this year. The completion percentage did go down by 4 points, which I don't think is insignificant. Below 60% completion percentage this year. Certainly saw the flashy, splashy plays that he is more than capable of making. Running with his legs, that makes up for some of it. But for me, if he continues to just not overthrow guys, and, like I talked about with Jordan Love before this last season, if he consistently hits the easy money throws, like, man, as dangerous as they already are with Caleb, like, watch out, because if he really turns it up, they're gonna be a problem for not just the NFC North, I think, but for the rest of the NFC as a whole. So, I mean, Caleb Williams, if he takes that jump even further, look out.
All right. And then Riley, just back in time, your internal improvement from the Lions make them Super Bowl contenders. What do you got?
Yeah, so I'm going to stick with my trend. I'm going to say 3 for 3 in the offensive line. I'm going to go Tate Ratledge. He was a rookie out of Georgia that started at guard last year, got better towards the end of the year. I kind of said the same thing last week with the Packers, talked by Anthony Belton. So Tate Ratledge, step up at guard, take another step forward. Lions offensive line was not the Lions offensive line under Dan Campbell that they were when they really got good. So I think that was their biggest drop off last year. So all around need to address that in free agency, draft, and then internally. Obviously Penei Sewell is already a stud. Kind of talked about Decker. He's old. I don't even know if he's going to try to do it one more year, but the other 3 spots on the inside, center and left guard, are kind of question marks. Ratledge is kind of penciled in there right guard. So that right side needs to be dominant. So he needs to step it up to try to somewhat match what Penei Sewell already is and pick up that offensive line play.
All right, there you go. So that is our NFC North teams, the Bears, the Lions, and the Vikings, the 3 moves that we think that they should make to be Super Bowl contenders. All right, before we get out of here, Mike, some exciting news out of lacrosse. The men's basketball team, I think was this past weekend, winning the WAG tournament for the first time ever, I believe, correct? That was their first time ever winning the postseason WAG. I thought I saw on their school website, but
I don't know.
I maybe read that wrong, but win the WAG tournament.
Hey, your name WIAC Player of the Year, I believe, Sam Grieger.
Okay. When they are hosting the kind of, what do they call it, the regional or whatever it is, the first and second round game for the second straight year, I believe, too, right? So
Yep.
Be exciting to see what they do. Exciting what they do here this upcoming weekend. All right. Any I'm not going to give you guys closing thoughts since we're over an hour 10, hour 15 here on recording, unless you have anything big that you want to get to. Otherwise, yeah, we will continue chugging along. I know, Mike, you are taking a kind of a vacation week. Next week's episode going to be down in warmer weather, and then hopefully you bring it back with you the following week. So we're going to have, I think, a special guest come on to break down the offensive line and some other fun topics. And then we'll jump over to the defensive side of the ball. And like I said, I think there's hopefully going to be a lot of free agency, some trades maybe, and some offseason news that we'll kind of break down. And then, of course, the NCAA tournament is right around the corner. We're like a week and a half away from Selection Sunday, and then 2 weeks away from those first 4 games that get played. So exciting time of the year is going to pick up. But everyone, keep sharing the Dairyland Drive podcast on Spotify. Keep giving out those 5-star reviews. Keep watching us on YouTube. Hopefully the video is back up and running. We're using, like I said, a different recording software, testing it out. Hopefully it works, but we do appreciate you listening or watching each and every week. Continue to do it. But as always, Collin, Mike, and Riley, thanks for listening to the Dairyland Drive podcast. We will see you in next week's episode.
Go Pack Go.